All right, I think I'm getting the thumbs up there, green light. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to talk today about the C3 AI platform and building enterprise apps at scale in a self-service way. So it's very cool. I'm going to talk a little bit about C3 AI, who we are, and then spend a bunch of time showing you some software. Hope you enjoy. Let's jump right in. So first of all, for those of you who don't know who C3 AI is, we are an enterprise AI software company, and we provide a platform as well as a suite of pre-built applications for enterprises to unlock value at scale to basically power an enterprise AI-based digital transformation. So we have applications, think supply chain applications, manufacturing applications, asset maintenance and operations applications. These are usually high-value pre-built apps that are fully extensible, as well as the ability then to build your own applications that I'm going to be talking about today. The core of C3 AI is really an object modeling or an ontology layer. So that's what I'm going to talk about as well. So here you have traditional AI sources on the left-hand side. So these are things like your ERP systems, your CRM systems, your data historians, et cetera. You may have non-traditional data sources as well. So you need to model things like, let's say, process maps, or you need to model things like marketing or diagrams. And then you may have external feeds, weather, news, social media. And the challenges for any enterprise are, how do they unify these data so that they can then solve the business problems that they have to? And that's where we really shine. By the way, many enterprises already have data lakes of various sorts. They may have usually the top two that I encounter at least are Databricks and Snowflake. But then many don't, and many systems may or may not be in those data lakes. In either case, you need a layer we're calling the data ontology here, but it really is a way of modeling these disparate enterprise systems, either integrating them and formally ingesting them into a platform like ours, or else virtualizing them in place with a common data ontology layer that you see over here. And in our world, in our technology stack, that data ontology layer is entirely metadata based, and it's entirely source controlled. So you can basically manage reusable business objects and use them to power apps. Once I build a business object, say for a supplier, or I build a business object for an item facility, or I build a business object for, let's say, high-value equipment, I can then take that, extend that, modify that, reuse that across multiple applications. Other elements of our platform are the ability to fuse objects through a capability that we call data fusion. We have a studio, a full interface, a visual interface into the platform, low-code, no-code interface into the platform, as well as you have the high-code tools and SDKs. All of the ontologies are fully available as either JavaScript or Pythonic classes through SDK, through JavaScript or Python SDKs. We have a full AI/ML framework in the traditional sense in terms of machine learning, as well as all of the modern agentic AI capabilities, a full agentic AI workbench, management capability, and a workflows capability that I talked about in the breakout this morning for agentic process automation. Now, above this layer, as I mentioned, we have pre-built AI applications to do useful things, asset performance, supply chain, sales and marketing, et cetera. And those interoperate with our AI agents and workflow frameworks. On the right-hand side, you can see an example of our planning and execution agent that can then, it's ontology-aware, and it can orchestrate basically any ontology object, any machine learning model, any other agent. And it also, by the way, operates with third-party frameworks, fully MCP compatible, et cetera. So that's C3 AI in a nutshell. We can connect to systems. AI agents and models can identify deviations, provide recommendations, and then you can take action from in one stack. By the way, the platform itself is fully modular, fully open, fully extensible. And I don't have time to cover that in this session, but if you're interested, just come find me after the talk. All right, C3 AI applications. We also have pre-built extensible applications, again, modeled through the same ontology layer. And there are three examples of our suites here. One is our oldest suite, which is really the asset performance suite, which has applications like reliability. This is basically AI-based predictive maintenance, process optimization, energy management, et cetera. A supply chain suite, Think about it as inventory optimization, demand planning, production planning, etc., and a sales and marketing suite. Think about it as pricing optimization, sales enablement, marketing execution, etc. And then there's various other suites. We work with some of the top companies in multiple industries today, so some of the marquee logos that you may be familiar with. This is just a small snapshot of them, just to give you a sense. So companies like Cargill in manufacturing, or Shell in oil and gas, or companies like Holcim in cement, or the US Air Force are our customers. And here are 4 examples: large-scale deployments in Azure. Dow Chemical is one, where their production operations standardized on C3. Shell is a very large deployment, upstream, midstream, downstream. GSK in the pharma world, Nucor in steelmaking. They're all using us in multiple ways, using our platform, using our pre-built applications, as well as building custom applications themselves. To give you a sense of what a deployment with C3 looks like, this is Shell. We started with 1 refinery in Europe, and then they scaled this out across their entire global footprint of refineries and production facilities, till within a year and a half, within 2 years, we had most of Shell modeled and scaled out with economic value captured, $2 billion in annual economic value a year, and a 5% asset availability increase. So this is the example, illustrative example of how you can unlock value at scale using C3. Similar story with Nucor. There we started in supply chain production planning, but then over time we're really tackling the end-to-end from raw material all the way to finished goods, with the application of AI capabilities and applications to solve all of this stuff, whether it's process optimization, demand forecasting, inventory optimization, detailing, commercial use cases, and now we're trying to do some really cool net new agentic AI use cases to transform their customer experiences. Dow is another very interesting example there. We started with their furnaces at 1 site, and then you can see the scale out, and now it's over $1.5 billion in potential annual economic benefit for Dow. And the last one I'll cover is, this is a large pharmaceutical company, and there we started in supply chain and then expanded to manufacturing, finance, R&D, commercial use cases, et cetera, with process optimization, with pre-built applications, all leveraging agents and AI models, multiple data sources, and the application platform to build net new assets. Okay, lastly, on the product side, a word on generative/agentic AI. We have been working furiously on this for, I would say, about 4 years now, and have done a lot of very cool work. We were one of the first to really come out with enterprise agentic AI frameworks, and we actually have the foundational patent on it that I think I'll cover in a second. But the main claim to fame for C3 versus many of the other agentic frameworks and tools, there's numerous out there, as you've probably seen in this show. But our primary focus is using AI agents to achieve high accuracy in production for the mission critical use cases that we serve, which tend to be data and analytic heavy use cases. And so for us, there are 7 main differentiators. One is the ability to work across all relevant data types. Second is more capable, more effective reasoning. Third is a superior representation of unstructured data for engineering, manufacturing, technical use cases. So we have some of the best parsers, some of the best image table parsers, et cetera, for those use cases. Built-in corroboration, full logging, full monitoring, the ability to execute agentic workflows, which is a net new thing that we introduced at Ignite here. And then the ability to use AI agents for decision support, planning, optimization, algorithmic work. It's really cool. So what do I mean by all of this? We built our own orchestrator framework for data intensive use cases. So here, for example, human may I say, hey, summarize for inspections in the Lake Charles refinery during the last 6 months, what were the delayed jobs? Well, that type of a question, these agents are ontology aware, so it first hits our planning and execution agent, which then invokes an information retrieval agent. This is fully ontology aware. This is aware of things like customer contracts. It's aware of structured data. It's aware of your ERP data. It's aware of other applications. And it will go forth and federate, orchestrate that query, get the data back. We have all of the memory management, variable management, data set pointers, that the framework manages. It also has a built-in ability to do very sophisticated visualizations. It'll visualize pretty much any data, in addition to math capabilities and reasoning capabilities. And it can also invoke smaller ML models, because the C3 AI object models are ontologies, basically give handshakes and protocols for agents to run optimizations, for agents to run classifications, regressions, forecasting models, you name it. So it ends up being a very cool analytic system. And so that's what you're seeing here, including the ability to search the web and include those data sets as part of these. So this is a core part of the patent that was granted to us. The patent was granted in 2024. We filed it pretty much in 2022 for agentic AI orchestration for these kinds of enterprise use cases. Okay, so we think about ourselves as we run on Microsoft Azure. We think about ourselves as an application platform that accelerates the time to build these kinds of next-gen applications. And the heart of all of that is ontology, is the object models. And where do you access those? In a product that we call C3 AI Studio, which is basically the interface into the platform. And this has data fusion, workbenches, operations, workflows, UIs, all of that stuff, monitoring, management. And this allows us to build real-world applications with ease, or allows our customers to build it with ease. So imagine not just building prototypes quickly, but building real applications with real databases, with production data, pipelines, enterprise-grade security, access controls, governance, lineage, all seamlessly done with the ease of building a prototype. So that's really the promise of what we've done. And this is a net new capability that's just hot off the presses. We've always had the ability to build apps, but you had to use our low-code drag-drop tools, or you had to use our SDKs, either Pythonic or Java SDKs, to build net new apps and assets on C3. What we have now is really an interactive way for end users to build applications themselves, and not just prototypes, but build real-world enterprise applications on top of ontology. So that's what I want to show you. That's what you're seeing here. So this is the interface, and this is a pane in C3 AI Studio. I'm just going to let it run here. So what you're seeing is the ability to then ask just write it in natural language. So when I look at the query here, I'm basically describing it to build a demo application. This is something that we did for Ignite. You're assisting with a C3 AI demo application that's industry agnostic. The goal is to build a small but realistic end-to-end app, and it demonstrates your data model, dashboard, connection to real databases, as well as enterprise-grade security and access controls. So I'm asking it a lot. And this is basically the level of the prompt that I have to get to actually get to a very rich and very powerful application. So let's go ahead and do that. Sorry, I hit too many clicks here. Let's go ahead and do that. So now I'm going to name my project. I'm going to call it an Ignite project. I hit create. There I'm going to the project space. And it's going to start up my environment, start up my UI bundle. And then it's going to run basically an agentic execution on the right-hand side, where it's building a plan. And so in this case, it's saying basically, hey, I'll help you build this industry-agnostic AI application. In order to do that, there's 8 to-dos. First, I'm going to create C3 type definitions. Then I'm going to generate some sample and seed data. And if you're familiar with these tools, like for example, Bolt or Lovable, or even some of the coding tools through Cursor or Windsurf or whatever, it's a similar kind of an experience. But what's happening here is it's actually doing it for real. It's actually not creating data in the UI. It's actually creating the objects behind the scenes. It's actually creating the data integrations, creating the pipelines, and I want to show you some of that because it's way cool. By the way, I can also preview the application as well. I'll give you a sense of that. So here, for example, I'm now in the world. Sorry, I clicked again too much. Okay, so now I'm going to say, let me go ahead and start building. So I just gave the system the go-ahead. And now it's going to start step-by-step working through this thing systematically. And there it created my folder structures. It created my objects. And because our ontologies are basically like XML or JSON objects, we've trained the AI agents on the ability to interface with our ontology domain-specific language. And models like GPT-5 are fully aware of our grammar files. And so it's really easy for these systems to work in these complex setups. So here, I just clicked on one of the types that are created. We call them C3 types, these objects. This is one for an organization. And you can see the agent actually did a really good job. It created, first of all, it documented it. This is a top-level business entity or business unit. It says entity type organization. It actually has name, industry, created by, etc. So all of the metadata fields are automatically populated. If there's inheritance to more primitive types or objects, it can do that. Okay, so now I'm going to work from here. Let's look at a similar structure for a location type. And this represents a physical location like a site or a plant. And now it's going to create all of the remaining types as well. And you can see as it's creating stuff, it's populating on the left-hand side. So it added an asset, it added an incident, it added a metric definition, it added a user, it had an action. And so it's basically writing these to the file system. And then these also automatically get source control. So, and it has bindings to, let's say, if you're using GitHub, it's going to go to your organization's source control repo. So it's really, and so then you can write tests against it. You can have build processes against it. So you can really build some very high quality applications. Okay. And then, by the way, it also verifies that all code follows our best practices with, with the proper field names, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so then it says now, in order to complete the demo, you should load the C data, you should start the development server, and then it gives you a navigation, an endpoint. So let's go take a look at that. So when I click on that endpoint, now I'm taken to this asset monitoring dashboard, and you can see it actually did a really nice job where it has all of the KPI tiles, it has, in this case, all of the incidents, it has fully functioning UI, with tooltips connected to the outputs. It has now the production line details, so I can actually view that. It has the metric history. And by the way, this is a real world, like real case application. I'm not, very little work has been done beyond the prompt that you're seeing here. Actually, no work has been done beyond the prompt you're seeing here. And for those of you who are in the app development world, you will recognize this is pretty incredible, because now I don't have to recode my prototype. I don't have to do something in Figma and then have my developers develop it. I can just do it, and I can do it for real. So let me show you also the backend. So now we're going into the backend. So what did it do, right? This is our studio, the point-click drag-drop interface. So when I go to the backend, I can actually see these ontology objects. So I'm now navigating to Data Fusion. When I go to Data Fusion, actually let me orient you in Studio first. When I click on Data Fusion, it's actually going to pull up the data sources that I've got here. And you can see it actually created some connectors, 2 sources, in this case Azure Blob, and a few other canonicals. And this is all auto-done. So when I go to the object model, I should be able to now visualize the object model that it actually created. So you can see it created these various objects where it's got user scorecards, it's got incidents, it's got metric snapshots, it's got locations. Studio allows you to navigate to any of these objects. I can see the fields in more detail. I can see the calculated fields. I can see the methods. This is automatically all source controlled as well. And then real security, real protocols applied automatically. It also loaded the data behind the scenes for me. So these are actual DB entries that I'm seeing here. And then I can view the metadata declarations by clicking that code button. And you can see what exactly it wrote to my source control system. Here I'm clicking on the entity object, and it's created an entity type called incident. It did the foreign key relationships for that type. And you can see it has foreign key relationships to asset IDs and action names. And then I'm going to further look at this. And if I wanted to create a net new field now, because I may not want to do that in the natural language interface, but I can just come in here and create that. Now I created this new field called string. When I go ahead and save that, and I navigate back to my canvas view, I can see there's my new field string. So that's the concept. So I basically have shown you what C3 AI does, and then how I can actually, like in natural language, describe an application, have that application builder basically create the ontologies for me, and then use our Studio interface around the edges to make any changes or tune that ontology, tune that application. I can add workflows, I can add user roles, I can add permissions, I can add anything that I want. But I'm basically off to the races with this capability, and I can do basically 40x the work or 50x the work that I would have otherwise been able to do. With that, thank you very much. I'm going to stop here and happy to take any questions. Go ahead. Thank you. Yeah. And please introduce yourself if you wouldn't mind.
Hello, I'm Dimitri. I'm running AI development in a company called 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗃 Asset Lifecycle Intelligence. I guess you probably know.
Yeah.
We know you really well.
Yeah, we know you very well too.
So we are a software vendor.
Yeah.
And I've got a question from the software vendor point of view. So we've got our own data estate. We've got our workflows, work processes, and we want to add an intelligence layer on top. How can we integrate C3 AI or applications built with your framework into existing product?
Yeah, so basically, and I'm assuming your Azure shop, so you have your Microsoft account, you have your Azure account. You can deploy C3 AI inside your Azure account. We're available on Marketplace, or you can just otherwise deploy it into your Azure account. Basically, build it into a virtual private cloud into a VPC. And then you can just connect your data assets to C3 AI using Studio, set up your ontologies, and then either connect it through your existing applications through APIs or tools like MCP. It's your choice. Every object that you're creating, every application can have its own endpoints in C3 automatically.
All right. Okay. That seems to work. What about data privacy, data sovereignty requirements? So as customers, we share customers also, so they have really strict requirements, also regional ones. How do you deal with that?
It would just mirror your Azure deployment. So I'm assuming you're already managing that through your own software, and you're going to have like localized software deployments. So wherever you have the deployments, you can also mirror a C3 AI deployment for our platform and manage data sovereignty accordingly. So it's very straightforward. We do this all the time because we have similar requirements, and I'm assuming we solve it in similar ways. So you'll have multiple data enclaves, and each enclave is going to have to manage its own data.
Okay, all right. And the last question, in terms of LLMs, is it bring your own LLM or is it procure LLM through you?
No, you don't have. It's bring your own LLM. We're mostly LLM agnostic. There are some restrictions based on what you're trying to do. For the advanced reasoning LLMs, you'll have to choose between a few of the better ones. But then you can also use smaller models that are cheaper for more simple tasks, as most of the industry is already doing. In general, I'm assuming you're probably using your LLMs again through Azure, which is again what we also support that out of the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. You're very welcome. Other questions? I see somebody coming up. Hi.
Hi, Nikhil. My name is Nagesh Malagari, and I'm with a company called FlowTorch. I'm curious, with the platform you demonstrated, can you also evaluate different AI models based on the use case? Which one has the most accuracy, or look at what's the cost going to be like? That way, you can kind of like switch between different models based on the use case.
Yes, great question. And I didn't show you a lot of the eval flows, but we have a very comprehensive eval toolkit, especially for some of the high accuracy use cases. We had to really build the calibration curves for things like precision, recall, F1 score, et cetera, depending on the nature of the use case. So yes, that's fully available. We have a full SDK for that, as well as a Pythonic interface through hosted Jupyter Lab service to go through very complex evals. And the same for the cost side. So you can switch between models. You can compare models on accuracy, and then you can also compare models on cost and build out the profile of what you want to do before you actually deploy in production.
Great. A follow-up question. Sometimes when we work with clients, they may be on different cloud providers. Sometimes it's multi-cloud environment. Is that something supported by C3 AI?
Yeah, we support all the three public clouds, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. And then we also support on-premise, so you can run in your data center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.